Hey everyone, this is Alex with the Dresden Files podcast, episode 22. Today we're going to talk about the Peace Talks first chapter that was released with the Dresden Files cooperative card game Kickstarter. So again, this is a all spoilers podcast. We're going to spoil everything, obviously including this first chapter, so if you haven't read it, you should probably stop listening. This is an explicit language podcast. We like to say the word fuck. I have a bunch of hosts with me today and a new guest. First, Alex. Say hey, Director Alex.
Hello.
Justin's back.
Oh, hi.
We have Andreas, also known as Syntax Murph.
Howdy.
And we have a new guest, all the way from the Middle East. Ghazi, say hi.
Hello!
And BrokenJars.xyz, the entertainment network that we're part of. Check out the Shylock's Gaming podcast, newly started, just recorded episode 2. Alex, what's going on with High Fantasy?
Hope to get it started sometime in June, early June. Just having a lot of issues with scheduling right now.
Okay, we'll look out for that. And, of course, 42 Entertainment podcast. As far as news, also check out DresdenFilesPodcast.com for all the links. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Twitter, YouTube. It always helps. Cool. So as far as news, there's a little bit this week. Jim Butcher's Twitter account was hacked. Does anyone want to talk about that briefly?
I think it was a pretty small thing. Just had like 50 different posts or something of spam links. They're really, really dumbly done because all they had to do was say Peace Talks released and everyone would have followed it, but they don't put any thought into those things. So
I think it's a bot that does it or something. Like I think it's automated.
Probably, but still, they could have actually gotten something done if they only put a single amount of thought into it.
Let's just be glad that hackers and spammers are dumb and leave it at that. So, but at least Butcher knows that if he wants to get a whole bunch of money, he can just charge us $1 per click and put up Peace Talks release.
That would have been pretty brutal.
Yeah, fuck the publisher. Just do a Patreon. That'll work.
Just delivered straight to the customers. $1 each.
It's probably the future, actually. Like going straight from content creator to consumers in general. That's where we're heading.
Yeah, that'll get everyone's addiction fed much faster, I assume. All right. And on the other side of like Dresden content, the Kickstarter ended with $550,000. That's amazing. Considering they wanted only 50,000 in the beginning.
I was gonna say, how much
times
they
as much.
50?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Damn.
And
That's a lot for a trading card game. Or cooperative card game, technically.
Yeah. It's a big difference between trading card games and cooperative card games.
So, how much were they originally asking for? Because it's like
48,000 or so.
So it's almost, almost 10 times as much?
11 times as much.
Yeah.
And that's the power of addiction. And if you can get it, like...
Can we donate some more if we could get like one more chapter? Like another 500,000, get us chapter 2, maybe?
Yeah, Kickstarter for Jim Butcher's Lamborghini to get chapter 2.
We're forgetting something really important here. New guest on the show. 3 books and favorite.
Yeah. Sorry to spring that on you without any warning.
No. What am I doing?
Your favorite 3 books and your favorite character.
Oh, jeez. Okay, hold on. Favorite 3 books. Changes, White Knight, and Skin Games.
Hey, Skin Games, my boy.
Favorite character, Thomas. Gotta be Thomas.
That's the first.
Thomas or Sonya, I can't make up my mind. I'm always a sucker for comedic relief / sidekicks.
Yeah, Thomas has some of the best shit in the series.
See, now I'm wondering, do people like really dislike Molly? Because I think I'm the only person that's ever said she is my favorite character.
I don't think people dislike her. Just don't think that have a heart on her for as much as you do.
Yeah, I mean, we were just discussing this yesterday, me and Alex, where he's shipping Molly and Harry again. I was like, no, not happening. No.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Ghazi, thank you for your favorite books and character.
Yes. And so now onto the chapter discussion. The first line, which Jim tweeted several months ago, was, "My brother ruined a perfectly good run by saying Justine is pregnant."
Fantastic opening. It is the most Dresden thing ever.
Very butcher opening.
Yes. It's
He
pretty much the
butchered
same
our
thing.
feelings.
It's pretty much the same thing as changes. Like, Susan Rodriguez answered the phone, whatever, and said, "Our daughter was taken." It's like opening the line with finding out a child exists. He's done that twice now.
I actually thought exactly about that line, just like the way, not that it was with child, but just the way it's done. It was very similar.
Yeah, it's a good type of hook, and I'll probably talk about that on High Fantasy. But
so starting to dive into the chapter, and again, spoilers. We're going to talk about it in very grave detail, so please read it or stop listening. When he first released the line, I thought it was like a good run, like not an actual physical run, but they were actually running.
I saw it as a physical run, them running on the beach like they used to. That's what I had in my head as soon as I saw that line.
No, I thought he was like having a good time or like an easy run of things, and no, so that was interesting.
Don't you know by now Dresden never has an easy run of anything?
Yeah, and considering when they described the run, he was wearing a weighted vest that weighed 220 pounds.
Yeah. Well, he didn't get that in the tweet and things like that. So it's just the joys of the English language.
Yeah.
I feel like when he took it off, it was just showing up to Ramirez like, yeah, I did that, bitch.
Probably a little bit if you think about it. It's Harry. He's gotta be like, look at this. Oh, yeah, I'm strong now.
Yeah, I gotta admit I was impressed because I have a 40-pound weight vest, and I kind of looked at the wife, and I'm like, shit, 220? Is that for real?
Oh, God.
Speaking of the West and the weight, and Burroughs' theory that he's not actually stronger. His body can just do what anybody can do, but there's no limit that he's not getting told that he's getting hurt. I'm just thinking, if that's true, then running with this and all these things he's doing, he is really hurting himself. So I'm hoping Burroughs' theory is not true, that he has some magical extra strength.
I think it's fine if he's hurting himself, but he's also has the super healing ability of the Winter Knight, so he's injuring and recovering at such a faster rate and a more extreme rate. So he's able to do it naturally more extreme than anyone else could.
It just means that he's breaking down and building muscle mass a lot faster.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't need to
The impression I get,
stop.
with the theory, is that he's not healing faster, nor is he, extra special strength. That's just the winter is kind of like taking off all blockers. But I don't. If Burroughs' theory is true, then I think he's hurting himself. I just hope it's not.
He is hurting himself, but he's also recovering at the same time. It's the same way that any exercise works. It's just he's able to go farther than anyone else can.
Is it said anywhere at any time that Winter is healing him faster than a normal person? Because when Winter leaves him, his back no longer works.
Yes, but he does seem to recover from gunshot wounds faster.
He's just not feeling the pain.
He also thinks I think he's recovering faster.
Yeah,
isn't he?
He says there's a point when he says he gets some kind of injury, and he says, "Oh, that's going to heal up really fast. Don't worry about it." And he gets a bunch of lacerations on his back, and they heal really, really fast. I seem to remember that.
I cannot remember any instance of rabbit healing.
He definitely talks about it.
I am sure that we will be corrected by some listener, and we will find out the truth of it later.
Yeah. I think
I think the rabbit healing might be an assumption on our part, not actually mentioned in the books.
I think what we should do is go around and kind of talk about our general opinions of the chapter first, and then we can really, really dive into it. Justin,
Yeah, sure.
do you want to give your general opinion of the chapter?
Yeah, so the chapter is friggin' amazing. It definitely whets your appetite for the rest of the book if you haven't been on the subreddit or talk to other fans for crying out loud. Like it's like a movie trailer for the movie that you've been looking forward to for 2 or 3 years. And I gotta say, like I think as great as it is with the interactions, because the three characters are three of my favorites. Thomas's interaction with Harry is always great, and Ramirez is definitely one of my favorites. But his question with the whole like, "Oh crap, does the White Council want me to be the emissary?" He's like, "Ah, oh God, no, no, what's wrong with you? Why would you think that?"
That's really good.
I gotta say that was probably my favorite part. So the part that I'm most intrigued by, kind of just from the literal material we've seen, is the fact that Harry is being tasked by Carlos to run security or help him run security, but he's definitely going to have an issue there because he's the fucking Winter Knight. It's not like Mab's just going to let him off the leash and say, "Go play with your old your White Council buddies," So I'm kind of curious how that's going to play out because he's pretty much the head of security for her, I would imagine, and now he's going to be playing double duty, so I'm pretty excited for it, obviously.
Cool. Who wants to go next? Andreas?
I'll do it.
Okay.
I think it was a really great chapter, and I thought it was a good whetting of the appetite as well. Like, I think if this chapter is any indication, then the rest of the book is going to be awesome. And like I thought that we hit a pretty good high with just Skin Games, which is like my new favorite book. But I think he might knock it out of the park with peace talks as well.
Terrible chapter. Worst thing ever. Really. How could he just release just one? Damn it. Okay. No, seriously, it was amazing. And just I feel like what really got me was the build-up on like the thing in the sand that turned out to be a footprint. It's just like, okay, things are getting creepier and creepier, and aside from the interactions and just seeing how overpowered Harry's becoming, it was a perfect way to get back into the books after not reading them after a really long time.
All right. Without getting into anything specific, actually, I felt that the chapter was a little rough because it just seemed a bit unpolished. So I wonder if when the book actually comes out, it's going to be a little bit different if he's still actually editing everything, or if that is actually the finalized chapter. In which case, it surprised me a little bit in the roughness. It's a small thing, nothing really like specific.
Is this the writer, Alex, talking? Because
yes, this is the writer.
This is a miracle. This is a miracle, you guys. I agree with Alex.
Oh God.
I feel like it sort of slowed down, like when they were talking about Thomas being okay. Like there was something that felt a bit unclear, at least for me, what they were talking about. I don't know if because I haven't read the books in a while, but when they just kept going back and forth about Thomas being okay or doing what he needs to do, it felt a bit muddy. I don't know if it's just me.
Like that was fine for me, but it was something about the dialogue with Carlos. It just didn't flow as well as I expected it to. So it just there's something missing. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe it's supposed to be a little bit less than, because if it's just something wrong with Carlos because he is severely injured now, yeah, we'll find out eventually.
Right. That would be kind of my guess is that it's how many years has it been since they've spoken with each other? So at least what 2, 3 something since changes, right? And then just the fact that he's injured and he's all grown up now. He's not little baby Ramirez anymore. He's all grown up Ramirez now. So.
And then there's the obvious distrust or possible distrust with Harry. So.
We're still missing Alex's general opinion about the.
Yes.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty.
So, thank you. So I agree with Alex that it did feel a little rough. I'm wondering if this is like not a finalized kind of thing. Especially since we still don't have a release date, and I imagine we're still far away from having a release date. I mean, I did think it was good. It was kind of standard fare for introductory chapter. And so Alex and Andres, I've mentioned this to pretty much all of you. I thought it was really weird that that Harry didn't know about the talks happening. We don't have to go into super detail. I just wonder if anyone agrees with me, because I feel like the Winter Knight who is under the employ of the Winter Lady, who is responsible for the interaction between the Fae court and the humans, right? This would be exactly what their wheelhouse is, and to not involve Harry, or to have Molly not involve Harry, not just because I want to see them work together again, which I do. It just seems weird to me. I don't know. Do you guys totally disagree with that? Do I have any, like, does anything that I'm saying at all sound like it makes sense?
It makes sense, but you got to remember, Harry's usually the last person to know about things going on in his own town.
I mean,
That's a big trend.
yeah, I'm thinking Matt just didn't mention it, probably on purpose, and there might be some explanation later why. But in general, if Matt brings something up, Harry is against it. So maybe she was just like, well, I know maybe the White Court, the White Council will get him involved anyway, then I don't have to. Then he won't be a stubborn little donkey about it.
I mean, that is exactly what I think happened. She didn't have to involve him because he was going to be involved already. So why does she need to go through the effort to do it herself?
I'm saying it's more. It's like a deeper problem than that. Like, I don't understand why Molly isn't spearheading this. It sounds like
Molly be not necessarily spearheading this.
Like I just said, because she's the Winter Lady is supposed to be the go-between right? That's their purpose.
Not necessarily. They are the Unseelie Accords, and all of the signatories of the Accords have to show up. But it's Marcone who's offered his hospitality, and the Fomor who want it. So it's probably their responsibility.
No,
and
I mean,
just enforces it.
But I mean, if the courts are going to be involved with humans at all in any capacity, especially this kind of capacity where they're having a meeting of the Unseelie Accords, shouldn't the Winter Lady be the one to make that happen?
I don't think so. I mean, first of all, you're making assumptions here about the accords that they will be changed or talked about. What this is just like, we want to talk all the signatories. Will you do that? And then they're all like, yeah, we'll do that. And Marcone is like, I can host it. I mean, the official representation of the Winter Court, whoever that will be at the meeting, I mean, it's probably gonna be Mab, I guess, actually, more than maybe probably Molly. It will probably be Molly that will be there. But it feels like you're jumping to conclusions.
Wait, so do you guys think this isn't initiated by Mab?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was clearly initiated by the Fomor, and then Marcone volunteered Chicago. I think the other thing to keep in mind here is this is the Unseelie Accords, and this is way more political than anybody's worst nightmare in politics, and so they glossed over a lot of it, but I imagine this has been happening for a while. Marcone didn't just they didn't just have a closet meeting and Marcone raised his hand, I'll host, and then everyone's like, aye, and then they moved on with life. Like, they explicitly talked about reviewing his record and how he dealt with Nicodemus and things like that, gave him the credibility to get their support. So I don't think it was just like, oh, well, we forgot to post it on Molly's refrigerator bulletin board, so she didn't get the message.
Well, no, but to me, it wasn't clear that it was not hosted by Mab. So maybe that makes a lot more sense. If it's not hosted by Mab, then
that's your own problem.
I'm just saying.
They said it
initiated by the Fomor. It's there in text.
Well, and
it says that.
I think more if there is such a position, I think she's going to chair the meeting or chair the talks in the sense because they are Mab's Accords, right? That's been called out in the series. So that's kind of
like the Geneva Convention of sorts, right? That's like a real world equality, like something
equivalent.
Would be That would be like the Geneva Convention, something like that.
I'm trying to think, like, what other times has this has happened before, right? Didn't this happen with the archive or something? Never like a gigantic meeting, but there has been.
That's when you have a problem with someone in the Accords. The proper way to resolve it is to call another representative, another signatory of the Accords will come and mediate your dispute.
Yeah. Do we think this is similar to that?
I think this is a little bit closer, like maybe the four more are trying to become part of the Accords. I don't think that's actually happened, but I think that's closer to what is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't make sense, but I hope you get the idea.
Okay.
It sounds more like they're setting up for something. Do you don't think that the four more just want to get all the movers and shakers in the mystical world and in one spot and then spring some kind of trap on them?
Maybe, but
Definitely.
Damn, that would be stupid.
But
No, dude, they're gonna sing
But they have
Kumbaya. That's
they have some
also
sort
right
of
in the
way to
chapter.
contain them.
yeah, it did say in the text they will sing Kumbaya and be happy. That really made me happy because that's exactly what I said like over a year ago. I said they'll sing Kumbaya. It made me so happy.
Maybe he heard it and put it in.
Yeah, so Alex, to your point, like I don't think that Dresden and Molly are being ignored. Mab doesn't do anything accidentally. She did it on fucking purpose. And one of the things that Butcher's talked about in some of his like AMAs and stuff like that is the fact that Molly's working through a several century old backlog. So for all we know, she's going to be literally busy with shit up to the day before. Yeah. And maybe she and Harry have talked like 2 or 3 times, which is half to keep both of them out of Mab's hair, because anytime she talks to Harry, she gets a headache. Like, you know, when has he ever said, sure, Mab, that's a great idea. Let me go just get some milk for you.
I think this might be the thing that he says that about, because doesn't Harry seem like the kind of guy who would be like, oh, peace talks, that's a okay idea?
Yeah, peace talks in general is an okay idea, but he's never going to trust them. He's always going to be looking for them to backstab him.
Yeah.
That's why he's on security.
I'm saying I think there's going to be at some point later, there's going to be like a line where he's like, man, nobody ever tells me anything, and then I'll be satisfied. I bet that's good.
Well, definitely, but whatever.
Yeah. I think, so we've talked about general opinions, and then we kind of, I mean, I didn't mean to go so deeply into that. That's my fault. What I do want to talk about is, in the beginning of the chapter, we get a really important piece of information that women who are pregnant with white court spawn often don't survive their pregnancy. We haven't heard this before, right?
No, we haven't. This made no sense to me. With the baby will feed on her continuously for another X months. Only 50% of mothers survive. Because earlier it is established that, from what I understood, that the parasite, the thing inside white coat vampires, is dormant until teenage years. So I found it very odd that it's siphoning life in the maternal conception.
I think dormant is it's not like it's not constantly seeking to feed. But this,
it does. As I understood it, it does not require to be fed. It kind of like it springs up. It comes into being, like when they go into puberty.
Well, it can't necessarily be like that, because if it springs up only when they go into puberty, then why does it follow the bloodline? It is born in them.
Yeah, but it's like dormant, so I don't know why it would need to feed. It
still needs to grow, just along with the fetus.
It might not even need to feed. It might just be a proximity sort of thing. Like it's literally.
It said feed. I mean, I don't know how technical they are in the white court about it.
But like some vampires are able to feed just by being in the proximity of other people, right?
Yes, and it's also feeding off of like intimacy. I don't know how more intimate you can get than sharing a body with someone.
Justin, Ghazi,
Just
do you have
ask
any
Lash.
I am scared for Justine. That's all I can say. Like, I can imagine like Harry coming up with some sort of very convoluted way to save her, but it usually comes at a big cost. So I'm looking forward to see how much punishment Jim Butcher's got to deal out on us.
I mean, obviously, Justine is gonna die, and Harry and Thomas is gonna live together with their children.
And then they'll complete the whole gay couple thing that they've been doing for a while.
Romance.
Now, gay couple with adopted baby.
Yeah, two children. 2 children. Don't forget about Maggie.
Well, 3. Don't forget about Bonnie.
Oh, Bunny.
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
All these people assuming they're gay don't know about Bunny anyway, so it's not an issue.
Well, for now, until they start making pancakes together, which is apparently in chapter 2. So
It is?
yeah,
Yes,
Priscilla put that out.
At some point, Jim has also repeated this, that the first thing that Bonnie says is, pancakes are inanimate. Because they're trying to figure out how to cook pancakes, but they have all of the information and the recipes and stuff because of Bonnie, but they don't know how to do it because they don't have the life skills, and that's the first time it clicks to her that pancakes are inanimate.
So it's like Bonnie and Maggie together cooking pancakes?
Yes.
Right, and I understood it that there was. Yeah, I understood it that there was a little bit of morality stuff mixed in, but since she's a spirit of intellect, and the fact that, like, you know, it's okay to eat pancakes because they're inanimate, but maybe that's just me. I feel like I had heard that somewhere.
Going back to Justine, you think Laura's going to step in any way?
Definitely, in some way. Possibly, maybe she would want Justine to die in order to have Thomas more controlled, and or maybe she just wants more of the hostages, but so she's going to try to take advantage of the child.
It is her nephew or niece or whatever, and Lara does have some familiar, feelings. Even she's a cold-hearted bitch, but she's not mad cold-hearted bitch.
Yeah, the part that's tough is that when you get to, like, the whole she wants Justine dead thing, like, even with their love protection, the only thing that would stop them is from them directly interfering. And so, like, if she wanted her dead, she could have just had one of her goons kill her, right?
She couldn't she just shot her herself if she wanted her.
That's not the White Court way. You guys know that.
Well, right, and that's kind of my point too, though, is that I think it is anything, like, sure, Justine is an annoyance, but she's also a pawn. And so if she needs to manipulate Thomas, it's much easier to wiggle Justine than it is to wiggle Thomas, right? And just say, like, I'm just going to kidnap your, wife, fiance, whatever they are, for a couple of days until you do what I want. So I think it'd be more worth her while to leave her in play.
Yes, but Justine would probably grow a backbone in order to protect her own child. If Justine is out of the way, then Lara can just steal the child, and that's much more vulnerable. It's probably much easier to twist Thomas into doing what he wants.
I think it's a mix of both. I think that Lara obviously exploits the situation with Justine, but also genuinely cares about Thomas and don't want to hurt him if she can help it. So she don't want to hurt Justine. She will if she needs to, but I don't think that's her main objective. I think she wants to keep her safe with her. That's why she's working for her.
So I'm going to twist it just a little bit. So I think if anything, the reason why Laura doesn't push Thomas's buttons is because Thomas will fight, and that freaks him out. Like, certainly they fought to defend their home in Turncoat, right? And you actually see White Court vampires throw down for the first time, really. But, like, they can manipulate Thomas to a point, and then Thomas is just going to start slugging it out because, he's Dresden's brother, and that's kind of their personality. And so, like, maybe she's afraid that...
I guess they get that from Grandpa.
Right? Maybe they're afraid of pushing Thomas too far because he'll just take off the gloves and start punching somebody.
Maybe.
Yeah. And on another side of the White Court pregnancies is apparently they're relatively infertile, which made me start thinking. In Blood Rights, we do see that he's only got, 18 kids out of 200 years of screwing around. So that's a relatively small amount. But then we don't know of any that were actually born from women, do we? Maybe women are infertile because the hunger would be trying to feed on another hunger. Does that make sense to anyone else?
I don't remember it being mentioned that there ever was a White Court mother, like a vampire.
I mean, the close one I can think of is Cesarina Malvora, but I don't remember if she actually had her own child or if it was like her nephew or something.
I think it was her nephew.
But there's also the fact that they weren't feeding off of lust because she was Malvora, and maybe that changes things, possibly.
Vampire pregnancies never make sense to me in any fiction. Buffy didn't make sense. Twilight didn't make sense. This doesn't make sense either. So I'm not going to bother trying to make sense of it. It doesn't work unless it's convenient to the plot.
Yes, there's plot armor and plot force, and now there's plot pregnancies. There's always plot pregnancies, actually.
Just talk to Ramsay Bolton about plot armor.
Oh.
All right, so let's move on to Carlos. Carlos is back. He's awesome. He's very, very injured. Apparently, it was his back that was injured, and now he needs to walk with the use of his staff.
Yeah.
When did that happen? What happened? I don't remember.
It kind of happened off screen. I think during or before the events of Cold Days. I think
it was mentioned in.
I think it's going to be a short story, probably. Don't you?
Might be. I think it was mentioned in Skin Game.
I think it was mentioned in Ghost Story, right? Didn't they say he was injured in Ghost Story?
No,
I think it's only mentioned as looking for Molly, but not trying very hard.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So I think it was actually brought up in Skin Game, and not Cold Days because he just wasn't there, unless I'm wrong.
It's Cold Days or Skin Game. What was it? Because I don't remember about it.
Will it be corrected? I assume.
From what I read. Go ahead, Ghazi.
What happened in Iowa?
I think it's the same thing. So, from what I read on the subreddit, there's a little confusion about the Iowa thing, I think, from what I was reading, but it sounded like Ramirez had a tangle with the Fomor, the year before or something, so I'm assuming it's going to be one of the briefcases, and we just don't have it yet.
I was also thinking short story when I read that.
Right, so speculation is, hooray, we get a Carlos Ramirez story, so...
Well, we already knew that, because he does with Molly.
So that's fair. Maybe it's the same story then. That it's because I was thinking, polar ice cap, not Iowa. So.
Yeah, the Fomor are around water. I don't know if there's that much water in Iowa. I think the Mississippi River starts there, but that's not a whole lot.
The Fomor don't have to be around water since it's a mix of all things. That they were just hiding in water, and now they've come up.
They're generally fairly aquatic. Like, they add gills to their goons and stuff. And
that might just be the one near Chicago where there's lots of water.
But they also explicitly stated it's worst around water.
Corn monsters. That's what's in Iowa. Corn monsters.
It's not he who walks behind, it's he who walks behind the rows.
He who harvests the corn.
I'm also going to come out here and say we still haven't seen the Jotun, which are mostly going to show up in peace talks, because giant fucking footprints, literally giant fucking footprints. So they're ice monsters or ice giants. So we don't know.
Ice giants, not monsters. Please don't call my ancient religion ice monsters.
They're fucking monsters, man. The Norse gods killed them. They're monsters. Like, did you see?
It was discrimination.
Look, Thor and Odin said there would be no more ice giants, and I don't see any more ice giants, all right? So run off, killed, who fucking cares? They did a good job. Elect them in 2016. Make Norway great again.
Make the North great again. Odin for Nordic Union president.
Batarung for King of the North?
I'll take that.
Yeah,
is he going to show up?
He should, because he's one of the signatories of the Accords, and he's worked with both Harry and Mab lots of times, so I'm expecting him to show up. And if not, I'll be very disappointed.
I mean, do we really...
Is he going to show up as Santa Claus or as Odin?
Well, as Vatarung, he will be a signatory. As Kringle, he'll be a sub-person of Mab.
Do we really think every single one of the signatories is going to show up?
Every major power will show up.
Yeah,
I think so.
This is going to be Captain America Civil War for the Dresden Files, dude. Like, fucking everybody's going to be there, except for the Hulk and Thor for some reason. So, but anyway.
Don't spoil it for me. I haven't seen it yet.
No, yeah, just casting. But I want to say that I read something in the last day or two of talking about, like, who they expect to show up. And, I mean, think about it. You're going to have, like, Ebenezer and Mab within a mile of each other for the first time in the series. And,
Kincaid and Ebenezer.
Right. So there's tons and tons of people, and the kids are going to be there by virtue they're at least going to be in Chicago, for crying out loud. So it'll be interesting because I don't like the Denarians aren't there, so maybe the Knights won't be there really. So maybe we won't.
I don't think the Knights are signatories. They say that.
I know, well, that they would be there to counter the Denarians.
The Denarians are not signatories anymore.
Right.
Right.
So actually, wait a minute. Is that true? We know that Nicodemus isn't a signatory, but I don't know.
He's the de facto leader of the Denarians. I think it's safe to assume they're not signatories.
I don't know.
I think Tessa still argues with them all the time.
Yeah.
Kicked them out.
The only thing that stops the Denarians from showing up is that it's book 16 and not book 20.
Right. Well, that's obviously a good point. More importantly, though, it also specifically says in the chapter that part of Marcone's maneuvering and that he got Nicodemus's power in a lot of ways. I don't know how that worked. Maybe they'll explain that, but it seemed to be implied that not only did Marcone outmaneuver Nicodemus, he kind of stole some of his influence from the Accords or something.
Yeah, so. I mean, because Marcone maneuvered correctly in order to get his revenge without breaking any of the Accords, and Nicodemus had been found out, his backstabbing, I assume, has been made public, and no one's going to trust him. His reputation has been ruined in the way that Map wanted it to. So I assume he's not going to show up.
I'll think.
He might show up just to fuck shit up because that's what Nicodemus.
Well, I don't think Nicodemus will show up, but I think it's possible other Denarians might show up, or some kind of emissary from them.
If not Nicodemus, which I don't think so, then it would be Tessa. But I don't think anyone will show up.
Yeah, I think that's also possible. So who do we? I mean, what other? I wonder if there's anyone we haven't seen in a while who we think is going to show up.
Mavra.
Yes, fucking Mavra.
It's been since Deadbeat, right? So she basically got scared off in Deadbeat, so I expect to have the whole, didn't I fucking tell you if you ever came back to my city, I was going to end you,
Yeah, and then at the end of Deadbeat, because she was threatening Murphy, Harry said that I'll, bring down everything I can against you, and then the other tweet that we had from Jim is that he was writing Murphy's funeral. So maybe she actually does it, and he goes ballistic.
I think Murphy's funeral is a flashback to her dad's funeral.
That could be true too, but we don't know because we're still waiting for the release date.
Whose funeral? I missed that.
So one of the other tweets he sent was somebody asked him, "What are you writing right now?" And he said Murphy's funeral. And so
no, I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's funny because I don't want to believe that it's Karen's funeral either, but there are two outs. I mean, one, I don't want to believe it because, like Alex's flame for Molly, I have for Karen since always.
Which is the correct relationship.
Where is the love for Anastasia? Come on.
You can't forget about Lucio.
I love me some Lucio, but she's still sloppy seconds next to Karen. So.
Oh, come on! They were so great together. I love that. I want that back.
Right, and then the out on that is that if it is Karen's funeral, then she's going to be, Valkyrie, Einherjarn, something like that, where she's going to come back anyway, and that'll kind of fix the whole. She's 5 foot nothing and immortal versus Harry's 6'9" wizard white. Winter Knight, everything, so.
Yeah, and his height has been confirmed as 6'9".
That's one huge bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's tall.
See, so we should see Lucio and possibly even Chandler. He'd be fun to have back.
Yay!
Since, the White Council and everything. And then probably the Merlin and I assume McCoy, which was also basically confirmed that Thomas and Ebenezer McCoy are going to have to be in the same room together and realize that they're family in some way. So McCoy is also getting an extra great-grandbaby to recognize as well, and his lineage is getting kind of big.
Speaking of Thomas, something we got to touch upon. Why is he having hunger problems again?
Because he's not feeding on Justine because she's pregnant.
But he was also feeding on some other people, not just Justine, right? They were having threesomes all the time.
But they were having threesomes. Justine was involved. Now she's not, and now he doesn't want to go get another lover, just like in Ghost Story.
And he's gonna have to reopen his salon.
Man, Thomas, Jesus.
The only way to fix his salon. That'd be perfect. Like branch out, open several salons. What was the name he used? The fake name? Tomas. Become an international name.
Thomas.
Right. Yeah. So actually, that's a point I hadn't really considered, and I was kind of curious the same thing too. Like, why is he freaking out going vampire on Harry here? But so I forget who said it. It might have been Priscilla mentioning something in the subreddit, but just the fact that they're doing the whole rinse repeat thing, right? So he breaks off his love protection with somebody else. Then they have their threesome and basically reestablish it and rinse repeat. But if he can't sleep with her to reestablish the protection, is it more important to feed, or is it more important to be protected from all your freaking psycho siblings? So
Yeah, I hope that she is protected, and he just needs to get over himself and feed elsewhere. But he's also the romantic that doesn't want to do that. It's weird calling the vampire a romantic, but it fits.
I think Justina's got to smack him and just tell him to snap out of it and stop being such a pansy
pussy.
about. I don't want to call him that, but being so uptight about his feeding, you probably should beat the shit out of him, and then he'll learn.
Grow some balls.
Getting your ass kicked by a pregnant lady would do that to you.
Right. It's also very Butcher to make that a plot point to come up at some point, that Thomas is going to push himself too far, and then Harry's going to have to stop him from feeding on somebody else. And so Molly's probably protected by virtue of that fact that she's Winter Lady now, but who
Molly
else is he going to
slap him around if he tried?
Ivy will be 18-ish.
Nice.
Okay.
So
No.
I just had to put that thought in your guys' head.
No.
Thanks for that.
Yes, but no. Look, the idea is interesting, but it just sounds like it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, it's
Which
just
might
enough
make it
way
even
for
better.
Thomas to get his ass kicked, but she and Kincaid are confirmed to showing up in peace talks, and I'm very excited. And I got to make everyone feel old when I point out how old she's going to be, which is awesome.
I mean, Harry's not gonna kill Thomas, but if he tries to feed on Ivy, he's gonna get a beat down.
I mean,
Harry,
Ivy can protect
yes.
herself, Kincaid can protect her, Harry can protect her. She's very well protected. But
I'm looking forward to Kincaid, Harry meeting each other.
Can they protect? Yeah, can they protect her if she wants it though?
that's the other problem. She's going to be a teenager. And we saw Molly being a dumbass in White Knight as a teenager, so maybe it'll carry over with Ivy.
Everyone gets to be a dumbass around Thomas at least once.
Yeah, possibly. And there's also the summer court is going to show up, right? They're signatories, so we get to see Sarissa and Fix again. Maybe Sarissa will also be kind of moody, maybe acting like a teenager because that's what you do when you have bad things happen to you.
But how old is
Oh my God,
Sarissa?
Thomas and Lucha.
Isn't she hundreds of years old?
Yes, but she's also not aging. She's staying at around 23 or something.
I guess. Do you think we'll see Leah finally?
I hope so.
Anyone?
I mean, if we're going to be seeing the Winter Court, I hope Leah shows up.
Yeah. She's been...
We haven't seen her since Ghost Story?
I think so. Yeah, she wasn't in Cold Days.
It's that, or if she was in Cold Days, it was to chastise Harry for 2 sentences and then move on.
No, she wasn't there. I'm pretty sure. She was not at the ball. We didn't see her anyway. And then he went straight to Chicago to fuck shit up.
Actually, now that you pointed out, maybe Leah will show up, but Mab won't, and that's the problem. Maybe Harry needs to get information from Mab, and she won't show up because Leah is her second.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Kincaid and Harry meeting each other.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Hey, so you shot me. Good job, buddy.
You didn't finish the job.
Yeah, I think I saw a Reddit post mentioning that. It's going to be really awkward.
Yeah, but I want Kincaid and Ebenezer to get in the same room together again, since Blood Rights and Kincaid killed him.
I don't know if Ebenezer knows but...
I want all the backstory between those two. It sounds like a lot of fun.
I think we'll get it at some point.
And I don't know. I hope Ebenezer is a fairly big character in this because of all of the people around him that he has a problem with.
Right. Talking about bromances, though, I can't wait for Kincaid to see Harry and be like, "Huh, you're the one that got away." So.
See, and that's what's going to be so amazing about this. Like, that's just one conflict, Kincaid and Ebenezer, but there's probably conflicts among every nation of the Accords, and they all have to be together in the same room.
There's still like Kincaid and Murphy. They still like had a thing, have problems with, and Kincaid and Harry, and Murphy and Harry are getting serious.
I mean, like
I'm
on
so
an
excited
even
for this
bigger,
book.
on a bigger scale, like the vampire courts hate each other, the fairies hate the vampire courts.
There's only one vampire court left.
There's 2 that will be there, right?
There's also the.
There's like one vampire court in Mavra, hopefully.
Well, no, I mean Dracul is still there.
Yeah,
so
there's a black court.
He could still show up, and that's one that I wouldn't mind seeing because he's a guy that we've mentioned like a dozen times and has never actually shown up.
But there's Dracul, and then there's his son Dracula, right? They're two different people.
Right, but I think Dracula. I think they're saying Bram Stoker's Dracula got stopped, so that shit was canon. I don't know. It could go that way though, that he's still around. So just keep in mind that Kincaid, when Harry's like, "Oh, you work for Dracula," it's like, "No, I work." Or he was talking to. It was either Kincaid or Ebenezer, but it's like, no, we're pretty sure Dracul is still back east somewhere.
I just think it's mentioned, like, just so people are clear that, like, Dracul and his son Dracula, like Dracula's teenage rebellion kind of thing, or running away from dad, was going and becoming a Black Court vampire. He wasn't that to begin with.
Yeah.
I think that's said in the book.
Yes, I think it was in Blood Rights, and that's also when we found Kincaid worked for Dracul, not Dracula.
So whatever Dracul is, he's not a Black Court vampire.
No, I think Jim at one point in like an AMA or something said he is a demon trapped in human form or something, in some way. Like he is a demon, but he's kind of stuck on the Earth. And we're very powerful, but I don't know. We'll find out, hopefully.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So the other big kind of thing we haven't really talked about, because it doesn't really come up in the chapter, but is one of the bombshells we're waiting to drop for peace talks, is the fact that the fight is supposed to be so big that they can't keep a lid on it anymore, and the mortals are going to find out. And so, like, maybe it is, Karen dies in the line of duty type of stuff, because do you think they're going to rent out like a Chicago convention center and just have mortal cops on the outside and supernatural security on the inside? I mean, that's a lot of fucking people. They've got to have a place to put them.
Well, maybe they're just in Marcone's buildings, and therefore the cops have to keep everything, like, surveillance of everything, and weird shit starts happening, so the cops have to find out, because if you pay attention that much, you can't just miss it.
I don't know. Morgan's been pretty good at missing it so far.
Okay, Stallings is the one probably going to be leading it, so maybe he'll...
But there's going to be cops? You guys think there's going to be Chicago cops guarding the signatory of the Accords meeting?
Not guarding, but probably watching.
It's going to be private security for Marcone, I think.
Oh, no. Obviously Marcone is going to be having private security, but I'm pretty sure the cops are going to be watching Marcone.
I don't see the cops being involved at all for many, many reasons. Mainly because you don't involve mortals in
she's not saying involved as in involved in anything. They're watching the criminal man, and then they see supernatural shit.
Maybe.
I don't think anyone's going to involve them, but they're just going to butt in because that's what humans do. Especially the units. Somehow I feel like
Okay,
they're
here it is.
get really involved.
Murphy's getting hurt, maybe dying, and Rick is involved somehow, maybe, from the mortal side, her ex-husband?
Yeah,
maybe that's what's going to happen?
Considering
and he's like, I want to know what happened, and then he finds all this supernatural shit, and he's like, oh, fuck. And tells everyone, and has proof somehow.
Yeah, maybe and on the other side of mortals, it's like, do you think we'll see the Perronnette? Like, I'd really like them to get recognition from the Accords as being an entity that's worth protecting, because they're just the people who aren't big enough to fit on the White Council when they still are victims of a lot of things. And so as they band together and they get stronger, I'd like for them to try to like butt in and make themselves known.
Yeah, I think what would make the most sense maybe if somehow the courts could the White Council's protection could extend to them under the Accords, like they're like a subset of the council.
They could. I feel like it'd be cooler if they became the information network for the Grey Council.
But the Grey Council will not be recognized by the Accords because they don't officially exist.
Yeah, so it'll be like an unofficial like spy network for the Grey Council.
But how does that grant them protection in the Accords? That's what we're.
I'm not saying for the Accords, but I'm saying like it would be cooler thematically, not as them being some sort of official signatories or any official organization.
Yeah, that kind of fits, I think, because as the Grey Council is the ones that are more aware and willing to do various things in order to get what's done that needs to be done. But the White Council is kind of stuffy and traditional, and maybe they will overlook the Perronnette just because we have to stick our nose up at everything.
I think it's all about power, and the Perronnette, even though there's a lot of them, they really have no power.
That was kind of my thought as well. Like I dig on it and go with your Magic Fangirl Club and stuff, but but yeah, I mean think about it though. The Accords were Mab's idea, right? Mab could give two shits about the Perronnetters. Yeah. Like if all of them were on a bus that drove off a cliff, I don't think it would even get her like weepy-eyed or anything. So.
That's why it's so impressive that Marcone was able to join the Accords, because he doesn't have any magical power, but he basically has so much money and influence, and has such a high level, I guess, of intellect that he was able to use that power to join the Accords. Maybe if the Perronnette eventually got to the point where they were like super rich and influential, maybe then they could join the Accords.
Well, they're never going to have that, but maybe. Since they are all part of the Brighter Future Society, which is Marcone and Lara working together, as well as the Einherjar and everyone else, that they get protection in that way as under Marcone, and Harry just needs to realize that Marcone's a good guy.
Marcone's a good guy.
Very terrible human being for saying that. Love you.
Dave, what's he up to?
What's Marcone up to?
Yeah, what's his end game? He's not doing this out of the kindness of his heart, or whatever he has in place of the heart.
Power and more of the same.
Yeah, I think he wants the Fillmore out of his industry, and that probably involves eradicating them. Also, they've probably been killing his people, and he takes offense to that. Yeah. And since he's kind of having a relationship with Vatterung and Einherjar, I think Vatterung recognizes them as being a thing preluding to the big apocalyptic trilogy and what's happening there.
I think part of it as well is that a lot of Marcone's like machinations ever since the little girl, I can't remember her name in the family.
Oh no, you're talking about
death masks even.
Amanda. What's her face?
Right.
What's her face's daughter?
Ever since then, while he's still doing the drugs and the money and the racketeering and everything, he's also trying to protect the average citizen of Chicago, and so he dipped a foot into the supernatural world because of Harry and things like Harry, but he's probably getting sucked in and sees this as the next step in protecting Chicago from the Fillmore. Maybe trying to get Chicago literally a neutral territory altogether so that the Fillmore aren't allowed to operate there or something. Yes, the Becketts, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think Peace Talks is going to have anything to do with the outer gates and the whole thing going on there, the outsiders?
Not really. I don't think so.
I mean, it's always possible.
I'm kind of hoping to see more of Rashid, because low Arab character in a fantasy series that is not,
Yeah, and he's an awesome character. I love his scenes because he's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that maybe we'll see Cowell in this, presuming he's not dead?
He's not dead, but I don't think...
No, definitely not dead, but he might show up like around the end. It's like, it was me, Austin! It was me all along!
Yeah, there's always that possibility, and I don't know, just like with everyone in the same place, why wouldn't he try to fuck things over, just like Bianca's party?
I still don't even know, like, who he is. I don't. I think like the whole cow thing can be a book on its own. I don't know.
I personally think that he and the Circle or the Black Council are going to be there, and they're going to be part of what kicks it off, and also the, obviously the Fomor are kind of the big bad, but I think the people that have been pushing the Fomor to start showing up again, like partially the Red Court's absence gives the Fomor an in, right? That's a big part of it, and how we're wrapping up changes in some ways. But I definitely think the Black Council is going to make a play because it's a target-rich environment. I think everybody who's got an axe to grind is going to be there as much as everything, and that's why it's going to be this huge bloodbath. It's not going to be like, well, I'm using the Denarians as an example. I don't think they're actually going to be there, but it's not like they're going to show up with a school bus bomb and like blow up the building and, oh, dude, that was tragic. It's going to be like 15 different kinds of, a free-for-all and a melee where it's like, you're going to find Winter Court fighting Summer Court in the back, and the vampires are fighting somebody in the back, and they're going to walk into every room and be like, "The fuck is going on here? What are you doing?"
I've been waiting 13 books for this, but this should be the return of Pharaohx. So
yeah, that's certainly a big possibility.
Yeah, I've been waiting so long for this. Oh. Pharaohx, be still my heart.
He might be there. I don't think he's gonna really shed his mortal form or anything though. So
I just wanted him to stand there and be badass, just like last time. He was just so fucking cool.
With the unlit cigarette and still blowing smoke out of his mouth, and he said Harry's name, and Harry gets flattened. So maybe if we have a repeat, Harry doesn't get flattened, and it's more badass that way.
Oh.
Calm yourself, Andreas.
Pharaohx, dude, I'm so psyched if he's gonna be there.
If Mavra's not there, I'm really gonna be pissed. I just have to say that. I've been waiting for her to return. Ugh.
That's how I feel about Pharaohx.
That's how I feel about Molly. She better be there.
Dude, get off the Molly train. I just saw her. Like, what the...
Wait, when did we see her? We saw her very, very briefly at the end of the last.
She was also in the dream and stuff.
Yeah.
Very briefly, not enough.
I predict Molly will be there in force. Your wishes will come true.
No, Butcher said this is going to be the book where we learn what happened to her, basically. So.
Think she'll tell Mom and Dad this?
That would be very interesting, and we'd also get a return of Michael that way, probably. Will we see Butters? I mean, he's a knight, but he's also, his doctor person.
Can he continue working as a doctor? Having a job like that? Because the way Michael was able to travel around is he has a contracting business and he's able to, he's his own boss. Like, he's working not exactly 9 to 5, more like a 9 to 5 the other way around, in the night.
Maybe he's just, using all those vacation days now.
I mean, I don't think that's gonna fly being a full-time knight.
It's not full-time. It's like...
He'll just use his Jedi mind trick on his boss.
Yeah,
because he's going full Jedi anyways.
If we see something bad happen to his boss, considering how much of an asshole he seems to be, that'd be fun. But Butters only really needs to go do something when he sees the yellow exclamation point over someone's head.
All right, we're at an hour, so I need to wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
We need this book now.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way. Everybody's super excited.
Yes, my prediction is that he's going to turn it in the next 6 months. So, I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. So
I'm hopeful for this year. This year, please.
I'm pretty certain this year, but we'll find out.
If it comes out within this year, how long until we get the audio version?
It comes out at the same time. They record it.
Same time?
So I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, they did that with Skin Game. They're starting to record it and release at the same time. So, which is very good for us, but it's also, that means Marsters and everyone who works with him gets an advanced copy.
I think the Dresden Files moderators need an advanced copy. We're gonna get spoiled.
I think the Dresden Files podcast needs advanced copy.
We do need. Yes, we will talk about it and promote the shit out of the book. So please, Butcher, help us out.
All right. We're going to wrap it up. This has been Dresden Files Podcast, episode 22, talking about the first preview chapter. You can find us at DresdenFilesPodcast.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. Even if you don't watch on YouTube or listen on iTunes, either way, it really helps us out. Tweet at us on Twitter. We pretty much always get back to people who tweet at us, and who knows, you might end up on the show. Check us out at reddit.com/r/DresdenFiles. We're pretty active there.
We are also a member of Broken Jars, and you can check out all of the things at brokenjars.xyz. And it includes this, as well as 42, High Fantasy, soon, hopefully, and Alex's new gaming podcast as well, Shylock's Gaming.
There's actually a special, during that second episode we recorded this past week, there's a special announcement in the gaming podcast. If you listen all the way through, you'll hear it and get a reward. So you should do that. All right.
Yeah, that's everything?
I think so.
All right, say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.